Another extraordinary case is reported in the international press beginning on November 11, 1972. A fast-moving submarine-like object is picked up on sonar in the Sonja Fjord off the west coast of Norway by the Norwegian Navy, which hunts it for 2 weeks. A fleet of surface ships and specially equipped sub-hunter helicopters are assembled to find the object. On November 20th, 1972, the USO is seen visually for the first time. It was described as being a massive, silent, cigar-shaped object. A Navy ship promptly fires its guns and torpedoes at the craft.
Some ship actually saw it on the surface and fired at it, but it dived, and then they started dropping depth charges. Although all the articles treat this as a submarine, the fact of the matter is nobody was able to identify it as a submarine.
After tracking the object for almost 2 weeks, the Navy devises and executes a plan to blockade the fjord and trap the USO.
They tried to seal off this fjord so nothing could get in or out. Nevertheless, after 14 or 15 days, this thing disappeared. So that may mean that this object, whatever it was tracked by the Navy, was not a submarine at all, but an unidentified submerged object.
Coming up, did Christopher Columbus and his crew witness USOs flying into and out of the Atlantic on October 11th, 1492?
One of the earlier cases comes all the way back from the day before Columbus Day in 1492, before there was a Columbus Day. And it happened on the Santa Maria.
October 11th, 1492, 10 p.m. A calm, clear night. Christopher Columbus and his crew move slowly across one of the deepest ravines of the Atlantic and through the Bermuda Triangle. Below them is almost 4 miles of water. Suddenly, unearthly lights are seen flashing across the bottom of the ocean.
One of the earlier cases comes all the way back from the day before Columbus Day in 1492, before there was a Columbus Day. And it happened on the Santa Maria. This person's name was Gutierrez. And Gutierrez was on the Santa Maria with Christopher Columbus and noticed an object rising out of the water, a disc-shaped object.
A great flash of light with a level of brilliance unlike anything known at the time suddenly erupts from the sea to the sky, startling Columbus and his crew of 120 aboard the 3-ship Spanish fleet. In less than 5 hours, they would discover the New World.
Christopher Columbus maintained a log in the ship. It describes what could be interpreted as a UFO event. They saw, in the description given in the logbook, the flickering of a wax candle going up and down in the night. It couldn't have been a campfire on ground because it was beyond the horizon.
This possible USO incident is more than just legend and lore. For the first time ever, original text from Columbus's log has been made available to the History Channel by archivists at Fordham University, custodian of a rare handwritten copy of the journal. The October 11th, 1492 sighting was not an isolated occurrence. Over the 2-month journey, Columbus's log exhibits a consistent pattern of cryptically reported peculiar incidents, including unexplained sightings and unusual events in outer space. The following is from an entry on September 10th, 1492, the halfway point of the voyage.
The crew of the Nina stated they had seen a garajo and a water wagtail, but these birds never go farther than 25 leagues from the land.
From an entry September 11th, 1492.
Saw a large fragment of the mast of a vessel, apparently of 120 tons, but could not pick it up.
Entries on both September 17th and September 20th indicate that stars or other unidentified lights in the sky are seen to move.
The cause was that the star moved from its place, but the needles remained stationary.
And from the infamous entry of October 11th.
The Admiral, at 10 o'clock that evening, standing on the quarterdeck, saw a light. Calling to Pero Gutierrez, he told him he saw a light and bid him look that way, which he did and saw it. The admiral again perceived it once or twice, appearing like the light of a wax candle, moving up and down.
Is it possible that these strange events, recorded during the most fabled nautical journey in history, were the result of otherworldly vessels tracking Columbus's fleet? Some suggest, however, that any interpretations or rationalizations that might be gleaned from Columbus's log are not the whole truth.
If Christopher Columbus saw a strange thing come out of the water, fly around his ship, and then take off, would he have told anybody about it? They'd have locked him up in the brig instantly. The guy's crazy, because things can't do that.
One of the earliest USO reports comes from 329 BC. After witnessing what he described as shining shield-like objects flying into and out of the Jaxartes River in India, Alexander the Great was so convinced that he witnessed otherworldly vessels, he spent the final 6 years of his life searching for evidence of these objects in a diving bell, believed to be the world's first submarine. Some conclude, however, that Alexander's underwater adventures had a greater goal, finding and conquering the one kingdom that had eluded him, Atlantis.
Well, Atlantis first enters literary history in the philosophical dialogues of Plato. These are the Timaeus and the Critias.
The gods, bothered by the attitude of the Atlanteans, decided to destroy Atlantis. In one day and one night, they destroyed it with a cataclysm, and it sank.
To this day, researchers continue to speculate about Atlantis as a hub of USO activity.
The legend of Atlantis definitely is based on knowledge, probably lost by today, of some secret underwater civilization.
Atlantis's supposed location in the Mediterranean would have provided USOs a convenient position from which to monitor human civilizations and their shipping routes to and from Asia Minor, Rome, and Athens.
The Mediterranean was the cradle of ancient civilization. The Phoenician traders traveled back and forth between the Middle East and Greece across the Mediterranean. If there were a culture of either aliens or original inhabitants of planet Earth who wanted to seed the planet, to seed humanity with myth, the Mediterranean is a natural base for them to set up an underwater facility.
Well, I don't know if Plato was talking about unidentified submerged objects when he came up with Atlantis, but I suppose there are people who, number one, assume that Atlantis is real, number two, that it's somewhere in the Atlantic, number three, that it's buried under thousands of feet of water.
The ancient Athenians, however, were not the first to record stories of unidentified objects in the oceans. Experts believe the ancient Egyptians may have even recorded sightings in their hieroglyphic drawings.
In ancient Egypt, in the temple at the city of Abydos, somebody made an inscription, a depiction of a submarine. There was another depiction of an object that looks like a helicopter. Who made it? How did the ancient Egyptians know about it? We have no idea.
One of the earliest European cases is a series of reported English sightings in the 11th century.
One of the oldest cases I have on the site goes back to the year 1067. It has to do with this people in the countryside seeing something flaming in the sky that came down to earth, lit up the countryside, and then went up again, and then into the sea.
Carl Feint has been researching USO phenomenon for almost a decade. His internet site, waterufo.net, has an archive of over 900 current and historic USO reports. According to Feint, one of the 20th century's first cases was reported in detail in the Philadelphia Inquirer on August 1st, 1904. A British cargo ship, the Mohican, en route to Philadelphia was, according to the paper, enshrouded in a strange metallic vapor which glowed like phosphorus.
I have found out recently that that case is a heck of a lot more detailed and scary than originally shown. The captain and the crew confirmed that an object came across the ocean, a cloud, approached the ship, and it was glowing. Not a meteor going straight down, it's coming across the sea. As it came towards the ship, The captain was trying to distract the crew to get them to do something different, you know, and get over the fear. They couldn't move anything while the cloud was around the ship.
The Inquirer further reports that during the event, the ship's compass revolved with the speed of an electric motor, and the sailors were unable to raise pieces of steel from the magnetized decks. The story goes on to quote the Mohican's Captain Urquhart, who confirms that the account is vouched for by every man of the crew. But perhaps the most astounding USO-related event, according to experts, is a Canadian case from 1967.
The Shag Harbor case is the most important USO case in documentation. The UFO moved underwater to a different point. A second UFO joined it.
Coming up, we visit Shag Harbor, Nova Scotia on the 38th anniversary of this crucial USO incident.
On October the 4th, 1967. That's where the lights was, right behind me on the water.
Years ago today, October 4th, 1967, approximately 20 after 11 in the evening, something happened in Shag Harbor.